On May 25th, 2000, the inaugural Laureus World Sports Awards were held in Monaco. Eunice Shriver, the founder of the Special Olympics, received the Sport for Good Award. And the late, great Nelson Mandela spoke these words that were to become the driving force of the Laureus movement. He said, "Sport has the power to change the world. It has the power to inspire. It has the power to unite people in a way that little else does. It speaks to youth in a language that they understand. Sport can create hope where once there was only despair." Wow, pretty powerful stuff, huh? Now, just 2 weeks later, another event was held for the first time, the Endeavour Games for athletes with physical disabilities. The mission of the Games was to provide athletes with physical disabilities an opportunity to display their talents in a proper and competitive setting against athletes with similar disabilities. The organizers of the event had never heard of the Laureus Sports Awards, and they certainly hadn't heard of those wonderful words spoken by Mandela. They were simply just trying to offer an opportunity for these athletes. Now, it was small, and I'm certainly not comparing it to the Laureus World Sports events. It was a worldwide event. They had Bon Jovi as a musical guest. The Endeavour Games did not have a musical guest, but every athlete got a free t-shirt. The Endeavour Games have gone through a lot since 2000 and are now proudly called the UCO Endeavour Games. Now in its 16th year, we are an Olympic and Paralympic training site and community partner. We get the question asked a lot, why did the Endeavour Games exist? Whose idea was it? There was already an event called the Oklahoma Wheelchair Games, so why the name change? Well, to be honest, it's a very personal story, and that story begins with my own life journey. Growing up, I loved to compete in sports. I loved everything about it. Think about all the emotions you get in sport. You get joy, sadness, tears, frustration, happiness. I think I went through every emotion I just named with every single high school basketball game I ever played. After high school, I headed to college and thought my sporting years were behind me. But by my sophomore year, I missed sports and decided I wanted to pursue a career in sport management. Now, at that time, I was enamored with the sport of baseball. I wrote my college term paper on Babe Ruth. My hero was Lou Gehrig. By my senior year, baseball encompassed every part of my life. I was a bat girl for our collegiate baseball team. I worked at our minor league team. My dad coached high school baseball, and my brother played high school baseball. Needless to say, baseball was all around me. In fact, one of my favorite quotes was by Branch Rickey, who was famous for recruiting Jackie Robinson as the first African American to play for the Brooklyn Dodgers. And he simply stated, "Never surrender opportunity for security." Armed with that quote, my goal was quite simple, or so I thought. I wanted to go work for the Chicago Cubs, my favorite team at the time, and I was determined to find a path to get there. After a few years of working in the nonprofit sports world, I headed to graduate school to pursue my master's in sport management. A few weeks before Christmas break, I was offered an internship with the Cincinnati Reds AA affiliate. Check. Christmas Day, my boyfriend proposed marriage. Check. With somebody like me that loves a timeline, loves the plan, I felt like everything was falling into place. However, 1 week later, on New Year's Day, I woke with a blurry right eye. This, in turn, led to an unexpected journey and an unexpected endeavor. After a week of being delayed at home, because my eye continued to get worse, they were running tests, MRIs, you name it, they did it. I finally got to head back to graduate school in Colorado, with my dad actually driving me, because at that point I was pretty much blind in one eye. When we arrived safely, we did what I had done many times before and called my mom to let her know we had made it. My mom had to give us the devastating news that she had gotten the call that I had been diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. Oh, I was scared. I was confused. I told my then fiance he didn't have to marry me anymore. He told me I was crazy. But I was distraught and even a little broken. I wanted to go home. The thought of moving to yet another state, getting married, dealing with my diagnosis was just too much. So what did I do? Well, I called my big sister, who I have called many times before when I needed help. I felt like I was giving up on my dream. I was mad at myself. I was angry. And she simply said, "Your life has changed. You're dealing with something different now. You're still going to achieve your ultimate goal, which was to go into sport management. And it will be okay." Life had definitely thrown me one heck of a curveball, pardon the pun, and I now needed to navigate my new world. So we went back to Oklahoma after I graduated. We got married. We started daily injections to battle the disease, and let me tell you, as newlyweds, when your husband gives you a shot every night, that is so romantic. I began to attend events for people with MS, and I worked for the same nonprofit offering sporting opportunities for athletes. And it was good for a while. But then I began to notice something I never would have noticed before. We said we offered athletic opportunities for all athletes regardless of ability. But if somebody came in with a disability, we might not know what to do with them. If somebody came in with the very disease I now had, multiple sclerosis, and they were in a wheelchair, we might not know how to accommodate them. Now, I wasn't physically disabled yet, and I'm still doing pretty good, but I also know that in the future, I may become physically disabled. For that matter, any one of you in this room could wake up tomorrow and your life be forever changed. And I also knew that people with physical disabilities could do anything that their able-bodied counterparts could do, just a little different. Suddenly, what my sister had said made sense. My dreams had been altered and changed, but maybe this was what I was supposed to do in the first place. Now, there have only been a few times where I was hit by something so hard that I had to listen to that little voice inside of me. I will never forget, I had had my tonsils removed, and as an adult, that is not fun. And it was a week afterwards, and my husband and I were headed for our first meal out. And I looked at him and I just said, "Do you ever get the feeling you're really supposed to do something? I think this is what I'm supposed to do." Now, a few things happened in my favor to get the ball rolling, one of which my boss had decided to leave the nonprofit and focus on his advertising agency full-time. And he simply said, "Katrina, stay here and do what you've been doing, or come with me and work on these events that you keep talking about." Now, that was a big decision I needed to make, and there were no guarantees. But I remembered that quote by Branch Rickey, "Never surrender opportunity for security," and I knew what I needed to do. So I resigned in December of '99. We created a new nonprofit. We called on people that actually knew what they were doing in that industry. We recruited volunteers, sponsors, and we set a date for the new event, June 9th, 2 weeks after the Laureus World Sports Awards. Now, I'm not going to say it was easy, and we had those people that question us, those naysayers, and I say to you, do it anyway. Surround yourself, family, friends, coworkers that believe in you, and let the other comments slide away. Now, of course, we had one more thing to do, and that was name the event. Working for an advertising agency, we had many ideas being thrown at us. But one evening, while talking to my husband, he simply looked at me and he said, "Well, what about the word Endeavour?" Now, have you ever really thought about the true meaning of that word? It's a serious, determined effort or attempt. That was what we were doing. It's what we're still doing. It wasn't planned, it was unexpected, but this endeavor, was the reason I was to go into sport management. So with that, we held our first Endeavour Games, and we've held it every year since.
The UCO Endeavour Games for athletes with physical disabilities is the largest multi-sport, multi-disability event in the nation. Since its inception in 2000, it has drawn participants from nearly all 50 states and across the world. From young amateurs to gold medal winning Paralympians, it's much more than just a sporting event each summer. It's achieving personal goals, setting new records, and capturing lifelong dreams. The UCO Endeavour Games: inspiration, empowerment, opportunity.
And I will tell you, there's something special about that word, endeavor. It is truly an activity directed towards a goal. And the thing with goals is, you're never really done. You always have bigger dreams, bigger goals, and we are not finished. We have bigger ideas, and we are going to approach those in the same way that we approached the event 16 years ago. Now, at the beginning of this talk, I mentioned that my goal had been a life in baseball, but then life threw me a curveball. So what did that curveball teach me? Number one, it will be okay. When you're thrown a curveball, know that there's going to be challenges, there's going to be difficulties, but in the end, it will be okay. Number two, be relentless. When that curveball's coming at you, dig in and get ready to swing. It's hard to make a big decision. It's hard to have things change so drastically in your life. But when that has happened and you've decided on a new path, go forward and live that goal. Number three, embrace those unexpected endeavors. When that curveball is coming over the home plate, you hit that sucker out of the park. Don't ignore or be scared of those unexpected endeavors. It may just be exactly what you were meant to do. Thank you.